Hey, hi, hello. I'm Leah, and today I'm going to be talking about Island 2 NA because I feel like it. Just a quick disclaimer before we start.
This video will be filled with my own opinion that is subjective and mine, and coming from my personal perspective. So be warned, I guess. I'm just saying you may disagree with anything that I have to say, and that's okay.
Okay, let's get into the video. Island 2 NA is a sequel to the survival show that created the 7-member boy group Enhypen. However, due to tea I really don't care to look up, Hive Labels, where the trainees and producers of Island 1 are from, and Mnet, the network that Island aired on, parted ways, leading to this season's collaborators to be The Black Label and Wake One. While Island was serving post-apocalyptic realness, as it took a The Hunger Games meets Lord of the Flies route, both in aesthetic and execution, its girl group counterpart took a softer and brighter approach, which I loved because give me pink, give me bright, give me soft, give me feminine and girly, I will eat it up. We even got a cute little mascot, the little diva fox Nasuri. Of course, there are similarities between Island 1 and Island 2 NA, but there are also some fundamental differences that in some ways improve on the premise of the show. Let's talk about the island concept's unique selling point, at least to me. The realms referred to as island and ground, as well as their two-part structure, which I'll elaborate on in just a moment. I first want to extremely briefly talk about the pre-show performance videos that they gave us. Depending on the day, my favorite of those is the girlish choreo to Yoonmire and BB's Law, or the whacking choreo to Blackpink's Do 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 Do. And those are the ones that I would say go watch. Of course, the other ones have some outstanding performances within them, but like I wasn't fully vibing with the choreos as a whole, I guess. I will say, I hate what they put my good sis Sujung in for this, but she ate regardless. So what are Island and Ground? Ground consists of one practice room and I guess a lunch area, while Island has many amenities, including a gym, multiple practice rooms, continental breakfasts, and rooms with beds and makeup, as well as a snack pantry and a living room. While those in Ground were staying in dorms we didn't see and mainly traveled to and from the practice rooms. The practice room singular. And so, for part 1, the goal is to make it to Island and stay there, starting with the entrance test. In Island, the contestants would determine who made it to Island itself. But in Girland, which is what I will be referring to Island 2 NA as from here on, the producers were in control of that outcome. Let's meet the producers. Taeyang of Big Bang fame, who is also a soloist, also known for this gem.
여러분 너무 보고 싶어서
24, one of the producers credited for Birthday by Somi, Solo by Jennie, La Lisa by Lisa, On the Ground by Rosé, Flower by Jisoo, and Meow by Meow. Vivian, or VVN, who is behind 3 of 4 of the original songs on this show that we'll talk about later. Monica, the leader of Proud Mon from Street Woman Fighter. Lee Jung, who is credited for some incredibly iconic choreos, like Wannabe by ITZY, Somi's XOXO, and Blackpink's Pink Venom, amongst so many others. And the ever-mentioned, never-present Teddy Park, who is really here mostly by name and song credit. So forget about him for now, though the show could not stop saying his name every half hour. He sort of is a non-factor for the most part until like the very end. Anyways, back to the entrance test. Each producer would vote on whether they thought a contestant deserved to go to Island, and if they got 3 out of the 5 available votes, they would essentially make it to Island. Each of the performances had a proper second week of promotion on a music show production. And so rather than them feeling like auditions, they felt like proper stages with graphics and everything. My favorite performance of these is such a basic choice, such an obvious choice. Not that the performance in and of itself is basic and obvious, but rather my choice of having that be my favorite is. It was Drama by aespa, performed by Jimin, Mai, Jiyoon, and Jungeun. They were performing on a slightly higher level than everyone else was as a unit. The contrast between Jungeun's clean and clear voice, as well as her effortless high notes, and the timbre of Jiyoon's voice and her effortlessly cool delivery, Jimin's iconic opening gaze, and Mai completing this unit. Although there are a couple of moments that fell short, as a whole, the performance was excellent. In the end, there were 6 girls that got 5 out of 5 votes. Street Dance Girls Fighter finalist Kim Sujung from the Sweet Venom unit, HOT Kids dancer Sarang from the Unforgiven unit, ex-Girls Planet contestant Fuko from the After Like unit, Little IU Kim Yuri, also from the After Like unit, Are You Next finalist Bang Jimin from the Drama unit, and first place all-rounder Choi Jung-un, also from the Drama unit. And my MVP is Jung-un. Again, it is a basic and obvious choice, but I can't help but give credit where credit is due. She's excellent. She was ready to debut the second she got on the show. A special mention shout out to tall and lovely girl saebi from the Sweet Venom unit. She was indeed born to be an idol. And so, more girls make it to Island than there are spots. So they're tasked with voting for who they want to stay in Island. Another improvement from the first season, in my opinion. There's something less antagonistic about not being voted to stay versus being voted out specifically. The highest ranked girl is guaranteed to remain on Island as a benefit of being ranked first by the producers, and obviously Jungeun gets that honor. And at this point, my lineup was Jungeun, Sujung, Fuko, saebi, number 1 dancer chosen by contestants Koko from the Baggy Jeans unit, 3-time survival show contestant Yuju, also from the Baggy Jeans unit, and unique voice Yoon from the Drama unit. First test, as always, is a signal song test, essentially the theme song of the show. And I have a couple of thoughts about the final love song. The beginning verse is too low for them. The song itself is good. I don't care what anyone else says. However, I do not think a signal song should utilize a sample. With the lyrics, one can interpret it as them singing to their past selves rather than a love interest, and it does evoke Phoenix rising from the ashes or persevering through adversity, but I think they could have taken a slightly more literal route to make the signal song feel like a signal song. Also, the choreography is deceptively hard. I do enjoy the shoe tying bit. Okay, so with the Islanders, Jimin did her thing, TM. Jungeun was a perfect main vocal. However, I do disagree with the producers. I wanted more of Jiyoon. I don't have strong opinions about the performance as a whole, which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Despite that, I do prefer the Island performance of the two, and my MVP is Jungeun again. Everyone acts surprised. Huge shout out to Yuju though. So, depending on the average of their personal scores from the producers, a certain number of girls will be sent to ground. In this case, their average sends 3 girls to ground. It's again voting for who they want to stay, so Jiyoon, Fuko, and Yuri, with the least votes, have to leave Island. And grounders Yuju, Taekwondo girl Choi-sol, and ENFP incarnated Kim Min-seo impress the producers and earn their spots in Island. The end of this test marks the beginning of a season-long story arc that I will get into, but later. For now, my lineup after this test was Jungeun, saebi, Sujung, Koko, Yuju, Jiyoon, Jimin, and Hanlim Art School practical dance student Son Juan. Test 2, the seesaw test. It's 2 island teams against each other, where the losing team is sent to ground, and 2 ground teams against each other, where the winning team will ascend to island, with the sum of the personal scores determining the winning team. Gerlin's choice to send half the girls to ground improves on the island structure, because it forces rearranging that may not happen if the same 3 people are sent back. And it also puts an emphasis on teamwork while remaining conscious that individual efforts are still being assessed. Essentially, the girls are paired up in their little realms and have a fun day of content creating, and then they were told they were against each other for the test. Okay, so my thoughts on this test. I think the song choices could have been better. I understand that each match is supposed to have contrasting vibes, but especially with Island, one of the songs has far more energy than the other in a way that feels like the songs are not on the same level. I would keep Panorama by izna because I liked it as a song choice, so maybe swap Whistle by Blackpink with another Blackpink song like How You Like That, or do a 6-member group through line by doing I Am by IVE versus Bon Bon Chocolat by Everglow for Island, Stereotype by Stacy against Hwa by G-Idol for Ground. As is, the whistle performance lacked impact. Something about it felt lethargic, but I really liked Yui, and Jiyoon did her signature gaze and slayed that opening. Panorama, the winning team, was really good. The song was still a bit high for them, even with them taking it down a step or so, and Jungeun had to do a lot of heavy lifting, but saebi was made to perform this song. The team that performed like Ua by Twice was okay, but Gyuri was such a standout, another perfect center. And the winning team, performing Bad Boy by Red Velvet, was good despite the main vocal mistake. And Fuko absolutely killed it. My favorite performance was obviously Panorama, and my MVP was, unsurprisingly, saebi. At this point, my lineup was Jungeun, saebi, Jiyoon, Fuko, jeemin, sujung, and jiyoon. 2 girls from Ground with the lowest personal scores are eliminated this round. Test 3, the unit battle. It's Island against Ground. There are 3 battles: vocal, dance, and creative. In each battle, if Ground wins, 3 Islanders are sent to Ground while 3 Grounders ascend to Island. Another change from the original season, as it has all the contestants participate, and each battle affects the outcome rather than an accumulated score of all the battles. Island chooses to send their strongest vocalists and dancers to those respective categories, leaving the remaining girls in creative, banking on winning those 2 other battles, and Ground chooses to go for team balance, spreading their chance of quality performances across the board. First up, vocal. Island's vocal unit sings Fine by Taeyeon, while the vocal unit from Ground sings Taeyang's Eyes, Nose, Lips. Both do great. Island's vocal blending is excellent, and it's such a clean vocal performance, though I do wish the music wasn't acoustic, while Ground's emotional performance and vocal expression wins the producers over, giving Ground a slightly better average, and they take the win. Next, dance. Island performs a mashup of G-Idol's My Bag and LE SSERAFIM's Eve, Psyche, and the Bluebeard's Wife, which is not contrasting enough for me in style and expression, given that they draw attention to that. I'd maybe choose a boy group hip-hop based song like NCT 127's Ayo in place of My Bag for a bigger dynamic shift. And well, Ground gets exactly that, with Mic Drop by BTS and Natsu from Kiss of Life's solo song, Sugarcoat. They're given a better chance at displaying contrasting dance styles and performance expressions, and Ground wins again. Now you can see the different strategies at play, because what they called the leftovers in Island had the pressure to win to prevent the number of girls shifting from increasing. Finally, we have the creative units. Both Island and Ground are tasked with creating choreography for Rain On Me by Lady Gaga featuring Ariana Grande. Ground has Sujung, who's choreographed before. She creates a really solid performance that highlights everyone well, with fun imagery. Yuju's bike moment, Yuri's mirror moment, her umbrella moment, Taeyeon's ballet moment, and Jimin's top model moment, to name a few. Island doesn't have the same experience with choreo, but this is a creative challenge, so they opt for storytelling. They also have some good moments, like saebi's intro and Lingling's center bit, to name a couple. Led by Mai's determination and belief in her team, Island finally wins, with the team that was incredibly underestimated, no less. My favorite performance per battle was ground for vocal, ground for dance, and ground for creative. Like, I get it, it would be crazy as hell to have all 3 wins go to ground, but Jiyoon, Sarang, and Sujung led their teams really well, and sometimes I like an underdog, despite the fact that half of these girls were in Island like 5 minutes ago. My MVP is Jiyoon, with a special shout out to the #1 rapper chosen by contestants, Yui. She really did her thing, and I need more people talking about it. And my lineup at this point is Jiyoon, saebi, jungeun, sujung, koko, yuju, and fuko. Another 2 girls are eliminated by the end of this round. The final test of part 1 is a 1v1 position battle to an original song produced by Teddy and VVN, I Will Always Love You, or I Wally. And the Island Girlies are given a mini challenge a la Drag Race. They're tasked with writing a few lines of the song, with the winning girl, Fuko, getting a credit on the song, as well as any position once everyone has chosen. They get to choose their positions by rank, with Jeemin ranking first and getting to choose first, and Lingling ranking last, getting to choose right before Fuko. Basically, there are 6 spots to fill that will be chosen by the producers, 1 of each position: center, main vocal, main dancer, parts 4, 5, and 6. The other 6 spots for part 2 will be chosen through fan voting, including the girls that are in ground. So 2 teams are formed. Team A, mainly consisting of higher ranking contestants, has an easy rehearsal process until the interim check, which reveals the flaws in their process, mainly in perfecting the details and harmony, synergy, which they obviously conquer by performance day. Team B are the underdogs. They mostly get good feedback during the interim check. Their improvement is more on their individual struggles. And then we have the performances. First, I gotta say, I love the song. Its versatility, that it can be performed several times with different aesthetics and make total sense, yet give a different feel. Team A being a girly girl next door vibe, they perform it with sadness, frustration, resignation, and acceptance, and even a celebration of the good memories that they had with their ex-person. While Team B are giving a slightly edgier cool girl vibe, they have more individual portrayals of heartbreak, like anger, hurt, indifference, acceptance, and a little bit of sardonicism. Even Ground's performance felt different. I'm glad the song has a bridge. We love a bridge. And a moment of catharsis at the climax of the song. Also, the choreo is so fun. In the end, the producers choose center Fuko, main vocal Jiyoon, main dancer saebi, part 4 sarang, part 5 jungeun, and part 6 #1 visual chosen by contestants, Mai. The rest of the girls, Yui, Sujung, Koko, Jimin, Yuju, and Malaysian polyglot Lingling, join ground in waiting for the votes to determine which 6 make it to part 2. My favorite of the 3 is obviously Team A. While I preferred a couple of the Team B girls, I enjoyed Team A as a unit. Also, you've seen my lineups, so it comes as no surprise, I hope, that I was rooting for Sujung so heavily throughout this show, but especially in this test. And Lingling had really grown on me. She seemed to get better with each performance. My MVP, however, was saebi. How could she not be? Speaking of lineups, at this point it was Sujung, Jiyoon, saebi, jungeun, sarang, yuju, and koko. After a break for everyone, an M countdown performance by the Chosen Six, and the elimination of 8 girls, we enter part 2 with saebi, sarang, fuko, jungeun, mai, and jiyoon as producer picks, and koko, jeemin, sujung, yuju, jiyoon, and gyuri as fan picks, making Yuju the only original grounder to make it into part 2. This is where the show becomes a standard survival show, performing in front of a live audience, said audience voting on their favorite performer per song, rankings that mean something, and so on. Part 2 is also announced to be an individual competition, which definitely changes the vibes. More on that later. First, we gotta talk about the Black Mate test. This is the first test upon return. The theme is songs the Black Label remixed for the show. Also, the producers pick who's doing what song and who is the leader of each team. Starting with leader Jimin and her team, Sarang, Fuko, and Gyuri, performing La Vie en Rose by izna. In remixing it, they turn it from a tropical house song to like a chiller, easy listening pop experience. Not my favorite of choices. I know I keep bringing up song choice, but I really wish they had something different. Either make it a Blackpink test to mirror the previous season's BTS test, or even a Somi test. Come on, Black Label? Imagine XOXO, Dum Dum, and what you waiting for? Do you see the vision? As is, though, the performance feels subdued, and I feel indifferent to it, which I guess it could be worse, but like with the whistle performance way back when, I was hoping for more. Jeemin places first with both audience and producer points. I Am the Best by 2NE1 is performed by Mai, Sujung, Jiyoon, and their leader, Jiyoon. I personally don't feel like the remix sounded any different from the original in a way that the other songs did. Anyways, the performance itself was really good. I really enjoyed all the girls. Jiyoon is criminally underrated. Jiyoon just gets better every time she hits the stage. Sujung knows how to put on a show, and Mai just knows how to make the most of her time. I think the set was sparse in comparison to the other performances, and that speaks to a larger conversation about production and attempted manipulation of the audience, but we'll talk about that too, soon, I promise. Jiyoon places first in this team. The remix of Lovesick Girls by Blackpink has house elements added to it, particularly in the chorus. Led by saebi, Jungeun, Koko, and Yuju give us probably the most complete performance of the test. Jungeun's vocals, Koko's dancing, saebi's stage presence, and Yuju's rap are all off the charts. Like they could debut as a quartet at this point. I mean, it's a shame that there was a mic issue for Yuju, because I know she was giving it her all. Of all 3 remixes, I like this one the most, so if we were doing a Blackpink specific test, I'd say we keep this one and do, say, Ready for Love and Pink Venom remixes as the other songs. In any case, Koko places first in this group. My favorite performance was Lovesick Girls. I mean, look at the material. But the other 2 are very close in my personal scoring, and my MVP was actually Jiyoon. Like, she fully throws herself into this performance, and the growth is undeniable. My lineup at this point was pretty fixed, with Jiyoon, Sujung, Jungeun, saebi, Yuju, Koko, and Fuko. Part 2, Test 2, the main position battle. You may be asking yourself, didn't we already talk about that? And the short answer is yes. Now, while one of the performances was so excellent that I struggled to commit to the idea of maybe doing a different challenge, and I know narratively we needed the story of one of these teams to advance or conclude, the other performances, good as they are, don't justify the existence of this specific test at this time. Regardless, we have 4 teams: main vocal, main dancer, main rap performance, and all-rounder. Let's start with our all-rounder team. Fuko, Sarang, and Gyuri, which is missing one key element to even make sense in this context. They sing 4 Walls by FX, which could qualify in the all-rounder category if they used the rap section of the song too. Fast Forward by Somi could have been fun and could have kept it in the YG Black Label realm of things. Regardless, they do well, although they are unable to break out from their sweetness in this performance, which I only bring up because it was a critique they got during the interim check that they needed to be a bit more mysterious and mature in their delivery. But also, the set literally had bubbles. So I don't know why they would be like, we're putting the cute girls in this performance, critique them for bringing their usual vibes to the function, only to then give them a set that reinforces their brighter image. Also, why are the producers picking songs for them? I feel like the girls would challenge themselves if given the chance. The production team tried to control far too much to create specific storylines, and I was sick of it. Whatever. Fuko places first in this team. Next, we have the rap duo that is Koko and Yuju, performing Spicy by CL. I mean, let's get the obvious out of the way. They ate so bad. This is the most complete performance of the test. Also, the performance that makes me second guess the idea of changing the challenge. The song choice is perfect. Both girls are firing at all cylinders. The set enhances an already amazing performance. One of their styling, both of their talent. I mean, okay. Tinfoil hat time. Is it just me, or was there active sabotage when it comes to Yuju? Her styling was always so unappealing in comparison to her teammates, that is. Then there was the previous mic issue and what felt like full-on erasure in the next episodes. Also, the fact that it's rap performance. We know Koko is a stronger dancer. Mnet, you are not slick at all. Anyways, Koko places first again here and in the overall ranking for this test. The main dancer position is next. Jimin, saebi, sujung, mai, and jeeon dance to Money by Lisa. Firstly, the style of dance, this sort of hip-hop energy, is not everyone's strong suit, leading to the girls who don't major in dance to struggle. I would have put sarang in this group and swapped out saebi, but in the spirit of challenging them or seeing something different, jiyoon and saebi specifically make sense to put here. Regardless, Jiyoon steps up to the plate, especially with how much time she got as center. It would have been disastrous if she hadn't. Jeeon and Sujung meet my expectations, sort of. While others have said they didn't really notice Sujung, I thought she did pretty well. Saebi falls a little short, and Mai gets heavily overshadowed by everyone else. Jiyoon places first again for this mission. Finally, the vocal duo goes last. As I mentioned before, there is a season-long story arc that gets resolved here. Jiyoon and Jungeun, who were at odds, sort of, for most of the show, finally talk it out while they're preparing for the main vocal duet to Beyonce's If I Were a Boy, which took me out, because Mnet truly pulled out some out-of-left-field song choices every now and again. They knock this performance out of the park. Jungeun's emotional expression has improved from the last unit test. And well, Jiyoon has my favorite vocal tone in the show, and the emotion she brings to it, so good. She places first again here. My favorite performance was Spicy with Jiyoon as my MVP. Shout out to Koko though. By the end of this challenge, my lineup remained the same. Jiyoon, Sujung, Jungeun, saebi, Yuju, Koko, and Fuko. Test 3. The self-made test. Finally, the girls get to choose their teams and songs. Well, the top 2 girls in the ranking get to each pick their teams and their songs, which are part of a selection of girl group debut title tracks. They also get to choose everything else, such as their concept and the execution of it. Starting with Koko, who was first overall. She chooses La Ta Ta by (G)I-DLE to perform with Jiyoon, Sujung, Jeeon, Jungeun, and Yuju. They come up with a concept that I honestly don't understand, so here are some quick thoughts. I think they could have done better with either Dala Dala by ITZY or Attention by NewJeans. The concept wasn't clear enough to me. Yuju finally got a cute outfit and got to show off her rap skills in a group. Jungeun was incredible. Her dancing was chef's kiss. Koko was a great center. Jiyoon's vocal tone is very mini-like, so it suited her well. Sujung and Jiyoon fully disappeared in this performance. Overall, a good performance, but not really all that exciting or evocative. Then we got Into the New World by Girls' Generation with Fuko, Sarang, Saebi, Mai, and Gyuri, chosen by Jeemin. Their concept is showing their resilience as trainees and their journey through island into idoldom. Quick thoughts. Mai's vocal technique has improved so much. Gyuri is such a reliable performer. Saebi belongs in these expressive numbers. Sarang is so charming. Fuko's vocals are so damn good. Jeemin was an amazing center and performer. Overall, the performance pulled on the heartstrings and impressed me. My favorite performance was obviously Into the New World. However, my MVP was Jungeun, and a huge shout out to Yuju. This challenge as a whole could have replaced the previous one. We could have and should have gotten the songs from the finale here as a concept challenge in the way of season 1. I think we were robbed in the original song department. Oh well, this round 2 girls get eliminated, with Jimin, Jungeun, and Jiyoon being chosen by votes, and Fuko, Koko, Gyuri, Sarang, Saebi, Mai, and Yuju getting chosen by producers to go to the finale. I had to replace Sujung in my lineup, so my picks going into the finale were Jiyoon, Sarang, Jungeun, Saebi, Yuju, Koko, and Fuko. The finale, the Teddy Mate test. Remember how Teddy is a producer on the show? While he doesn't appear at all, he does choose who gets to do what song and what position they get in this test. We get 2 songs, Drip and Fake It. Starting with Drip. It's a fun Baltimore club-esque track with lyrics about a charming girl who mesmerizes and is effortlessly cool. I love the trendy choreo. The lyrics are fun, I guess. They're fine. The vocals don't really show off anyone. Jimin was the perfect center for this song. Koko did a great job as main rapper, though I wish they could have given Yuju a bit of the rap too. As a result, Yuju and Gyuri are sort of just there. Except for that one moment that Gyuri gets, she sort of just passes by. Jiyoon doesn't really get to show off her biggest asset, but she does get to show her versatility. Now, Fake It. I guess I'd describe it as melancholic electro-pop. It's a song about someone who has so much power over you and the kind of toxic push and pull they put you through, but you still care. The choreo feels more contemporary leaning with flowier movement and more emphasis on emotion, particularly in the final dance break. The lyrics have that bittersweet juxtaposition that I Wally had, which I liked. The melodic rap was really good. I think this was perfectly executed by Sarang and Jungeun. Saebi as a center was nothing short of perfection. She knows how to sell an emotion and give a moving and compelling performance. Mai is a vision. She just knows how to use her face, and I'm so impressed with her growth vocally and all the work she clearly put into it. And you can always count on Fuko to give you an unwavering, solid performance. Like I said before, I wish these songs were for the semi-final with slightly stronger original songs for the finale. You know, ones with a bridge, a dance break, maybe some ad-libs at the climax. I don't know, I'm just spitballing here. And now the final results. 5 girls chosen by fan voting: Jungeun, Jimin, Jiyoon, Koko, and Sarang, and 2 producer picks: their ani mai, and their maknae saebi. Heartbreakingly, 3 girls don't make the group. The name of the group is izna, which comes from the words anytime, anywhere, anything. It means to convey confidence and assurance, whatever that means.
Born to be idol, 정세비.
Saebi comes into the show already admired by her peers. Everyone remarks on how she has the aura of an idol, but her journey isn't exactly easy. Specifically in the latter half of the show. While I think she consistently gave good performances and sometimes great performances, her rank continued to fall. Again, I don't really understand it because other than the main position battle in part 2, she worked hard and gave her all, also gave really good performances, which impressed me. Clearly, she was in my lineup pretty much from the first episode. So I'm glad the producers gave us the twist of adding an extra member to add saebi. She's my bias wrecker in izna, so it was most pleasing to me personally.
마이 임팩트 공주 임팩트 공주
Mai tends to be reduced to just her visuals, and I can be guilty of that too. But she's far more than just a pretty face. She always puts the good of her team first, despite that meaning her getting smaller parts. She was still able to make those small parts so impactful. While she barely got any screen time towards the end, she had already shown us how hard she works, like when she spent all night doing text analysis and planning for the creative challenge, as well as her obvious vocal improvements.
오늘 드디어 아이 사랑과 유 사랑이 적절하게 섞인 무대이지 않았을까.
Sarang is very nearly an all-rounder. She has proven her abilities time and again. Although she did have a few vocal mishaps during part 2, this aspect of her narrative was focused on her perfectionism and how it is doing her harm. Another very evident part of her screen time was how much she was liked by the producers. They were always rooting for her, and it's great that she was able to meet their expectations in the end. She was able to finish strong with one of my favorite performances of hers. There was also this weird yu sarang, I sarang thing that came up a few times, mainly that she was less captivating when she was in the center and they wanted her to own those parts.
나는 어떤 여자?
Koko did not have a single mediocre performance. Absolute star. During the last test of part 1, she's up against saebi, and in asking for advice on how to improve her performance, she's told that saebi has decided what kind of woman she's portraying. So this becomes a recurring motif of her identifying what kind of woman she is in each performance, which I find endlessly charming. In part 2, we also really get to see her personality shine, as she helps others and shows a lot of her goofy side.
그 과거 서바이벌에서도 꽤나 높은 등수였는데 운이 조금 안 따라주셨더라고요. 근데 정말 운이었던 것 같아요.
Jeemin came onto the show fresh off another survival show, and the Girland production team truly didn't want us to forget that. We barely got to know her really because so much focus was put on that. Another thing that was focused on was her stepping into the role of center. She was put in first place during the last test of part 1, which gave her the privilege to pick a part first, but she played it safe and it worked against her. As a result, for the rest of the show, she was basically given the same test over and over again, and she was able to meet the producers' expectations.
개인적으로 최정은 님이 1등을 왜 했는지 되었던 무대였어요.
Jungeun placed first in the self-evaluation pre-show, and then placed first in the entrance test and the signal song test, earning her immunity from expulsion. She placed first again in the finale. Though she began and ended her journey with Island in first place, it wasn't a smooth and easy win. She was consistent in her performances, attitude, and abilities, yet she plateaued very quickly and began a slow and painful descent during the unit battle that only grew. After her narrative with Jiyoon broke through, she regained massive support, leading to her final rank.
저라는 사람의 성격을 되게 입체적으로 잘 담아주셨어요.
I'm choosing to speak about Jiyoon last because she was my one pick and is my izna bias. Also because she had the most compelling narrative throughout the show. She was truly living out a coming-of-age narrative. In fact, let me talk about her using an anti-hero's journey structure. Steps 1 and 2. The ordinary world and call to adventure are obviously trainee life and the audition to island. Something we don't see, but obviously know happened. Steps 3 and 4, the threshold to transformation and meeting the mentor, are coming onto island and meeting the producers. At this point, her journey is similar to everyone else, but it's after this that we see her narrative really emerge. Step 5. Challenges and temptations. She's chosen by Jungeun to be main vocal in the signal song test, but after the interim check, she's then moved to part 11 of 12, which significantly minimized her lines. She is then shown not taking it well and sulking. This bothers the other girls, but she talks to Jungeun and she apologizes to her team. However, when it came down to voting who they wanted to stay, no one but herself voted for her. She carries that bitterness into ground and struggles as a leader and gets scolded for not performing well, which finally breaks her. After part 1, however, she realized how she was coming across and strives to be more mature and a better teammate. Steps 5, 6, and 7. Revelation, transformation, and atonement. We see her actively help Mai after hearing Sujung say she won't help. She finally takes the initiative to apologize to Jungeun for the rift in their friendship, and they make up. She learns to say when she feels left behind by her teammates. In the end, she had the fullest narrative and became an anti-hero I couldn't help but root for. Much like my Boys Planet one pick, she could have become a villain and stayed one. But Mnet showcased them learning a lesson and improving, and they were both PO3. Shout out to my ZB1 bias, Matthew. There are additional girls I want to talk about that didn't make it, but I was rooting for. So let's get into that. I knew Sujung from Street Dance Girls Fighter, the spin-off of Street Woman Fighter. She was portrayed as a mean girl during one of the earlier episodes. So when I saw that she had been cast, I thought, oh, they cast her with a specific purpose of being a villain on the show. She obviously didn't give them that all of part 1. She was shown to be a great leader and talented, but also I personally felt the producers held her to a different standard, or at least treated her slightly differently, which got on my nerves a little. She had gotten critique that she needed to prove that she was a singer who could dance and not the other way around. She finally took a massive risk in the last test and she ended part 1 in a good place, having conquered main vocal, even if she wasn't chosen by the producers to enter part 2. When part 2 was announced to be an individual competition, Sujung became more competitive, and unfortunately, she wouldn't help her teammate even while knowing what it is she was doing wrong. This did not go over well with the fans of the show. Once eliminated, she said she wasn't pursuing being an idol anymore, which is a shame because she was tied as my one pick with Jiyoon. Fuko is my girland equivalent to Keita from Boys Planet. I was rooting for the both of them and it really seemed like they were gonna make it, but in the finale, that dream was crushed. She really put in so much work and gave great performances, but beyond her leader narrative during the seesaw test and her songwriting mini challenge moment, she wasn't given a storyline. And as skilled as she wasn't given the chance to prove her versatility because she didn't get any opportunity to choose a song in part 2. Also, watching that finale was heartbreaking. It reminded me of Yui during the first elimination, which was equally as heart-wrenching. Both of them watched the opportunity slip away, and it felt like Mnet was milking it for all it was worth. There may be a silver lining though. A second group made of girland contestants has been announced. They will be what even is to Zero Base One from Boys Planet. I'm sorry I keep bringing up Boys Planet. It was my first survival show and I'm very, very attached to it. I hope Fuko was there, and depending on the concept, I think it would be nice to have Ling Ling, Sol, Yuri, and Minsor, or Jiyoon, Yuju, Yui, and I know I said she's quitting the idol stuff, but hear me out, Sujung would fit this group's vibe. And Fuko, right? That is clear. Fuko's in both of these groups. Overall, I think Island 2 NA was a pretty good show. I loved the contestants. I liked the original songs. We already know how I feel about the other song choices. The producers were alright. I wish we saw the vocal producers having mentoring or training time in the way that the dance producers did. Or like that time Jeeon worked with Jiyoon and jungeun. It's pretty common for the production team to highlight who they want us to vote for by giving certain narratives, framing those narratives in a specific light, which producers' comments and reactions they show us, uneven screen time distribution, showing us only some of the interim rankings, the styling, the set design for the performances, and like I said before, I wasn't a fan of the producers picking all the members for each performance in part 2, excluding the self-made test, that is. All in all, I had a good time and came out with a group that I'm ready to support. So I rate it a 7 out of 10. It's closer to 6.75, but I want it to be a little bit more positive, so 7 out of 10 it is. The lineup is perfect for me. Are there girls that I wish were in the lineup? Sure. However, I don't think I could replace anyone specifically. I don't know who I'd take out to put someone else in. So perfect lineup, no notes. Also, I can't wait for Izna's debut. They performed at KCON Germany, which made me remember that we don't have studio versions of Drip and Fake It. Not even dance practices on the Izna channel. Wake one, please move. I miss my daughters. Anyway, that's it. Thanks for listening to my yapalogue. If you want to hear a more detailed episode by episode description, Boys Love and Into Orbit have some good videos talking about Girland. I also made a playlist for what I personally would like the vibe of Izna's discography to be, all of which I will link in the description. Until next time, maybe, I don't know. This has been A Girl's Guide to Survival. Bye!